Hey, and welcome to the third of 3 videos about modding TAXINAUT. TAXINAUT is written in Java. To be able to mod TAXINAUT, you have to learn a little bit about programming in Java. The goal is to get you set up with a working starting point that is a Java development environment called Eclipse and a mod for TAXINAUT loaded into it that you can tinker with. Disclaimer, I've used everything here myself for more than 15 years without issue. Eclipse has been around for 20 years. And was originally developed by IBM. That said, you follow any instruction given and use any software mentioned here solely at your own risk. To use this website that I show here and the videos and or create, share or use TAXINAUT mods, you require a TAXINAUT license. For more information on what you agree to when you use this website or what's said in these videos, or when creating, sharing or using TAXINAUT mods, and about what you can and cannot do with mods, see the end user license agreement. It's linked here on this web page that accompanies the videos. You can find that at www.mosgrom.net/taxinaut/modding-taxinaut.html. There will also be a link in the description, of course. One note of warning: mods have the same access to your computer system as TAXINAUT. So this means that mods can, for example, read, write to your file system and create network connections. So there's nothing in TAXINAUT or done by me to prevent this. Second warning, I would recommend you back up both your installation directory and your save files before attempting to install any mods. For more information where to find save files and where your installation directory is, etc., you can go into the manual, which you can find at www.mosgrom.net/taxinaut/manual.html, or here the website through this link. You can click on it, see import files and directory. It explains all about it. Of course, you can also click help in TAXINAUT itself. Here, this help, and you can also go into settings here and then tools. And there's buttons to actually open the different directories that TAXINAUT uses. For example, here, open install directory. It will open your file explorer in the install directory of TAXINAUT. Right. That out of the way. Let me get back to my website. Yes. So there were 3 videos. The first was the basics of Java, where I just explained a little bit how, or demonstrated how you create a Java program and how it is run. The second one was about programming Java with Eclipse, where we installed Eclipse and created a slightly more elaborate program using Eclipse. And this one is adding a planet to TAXINAUT, where we will create a TAXINAUT mod. That's a planet. Okay. So with that all out of the way, TAXINAUT mods. TAXINAUT mods are just files. They consist of Java class files and resources like images and source files. Mods have a unique name and a unique numeric ID. And to install a mod, its files are simply placed under the mod directory of your TAXINAUT installation directory. So, let me open up my installation directory here. So here it's under, mine is on the C program file, Steam apps, common TAXINAUT, then mod. This is where mods will be installed. There's different parts to mods. We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, in this demonstration I will be creating a mod with mod name example and with ID 101, so 101. The mod will add a planet to TAXINAUT called Domo and give the player an item called Domo cast that teleports them to Domo when clicked. Your installation of TAXINAUT comes with source code and resources for this example mod, and you can find that in, when you go to your installation directory again, TAXINAUT doc mod. Here you find everything to do with modding and the example mod. Here you have in this example folder, there's the resources like images for the mod and the Java source files here. You can also download it here through this website, and you can download the fully compiled and ready to use bundle of this example mod that we're going to create here as well in a zip file. Right. So when you start a new mod, the first thing you need is a mod ID. So this is a unique number that TAXINAUT and you will require this distinguish between your mod and other mods. The example mod discussed here uses 101, and for your own mod you can start with 102. If you have a mod, by the way, at some point that you want to share with others, I would recommend you register it with the TAXINAUT mod register. There's a link here to it. Here it's this website. It explains all what you have to do, and you will reserve, well, sort of a unique ID and name for your mod, so just so it doesn't clash with other people's mods. A new Eclipse mod project. So in Eclipse, I have Eclipse already open. I still have it open here on the game project from the second video, our last video. I'll just close all that. I did like this, so I assume your situation is the same. Close the game project. Well, I just collapsed the file tree there, and then add a new project. So file, new Java project, and the project name is example. Just make sure this is unchecked. Create module info.java file. Finish. Right, there's our project. The second thing we probably want to do is add the TAXINAUT library that your mod needs to interact with TAXINAUT and vice versa. It's a class library, comes in a file called mosgrom.jar. You can find that also in your installation directory. So here in mine, so this is my installation directory. In doc mod again, here at the top immediately there's mosgrom.jar. I just right click that, copy, and go to my workspace, Eclipse workspace, and the project folder, for example. For me that's in Jasper, modfit workspace, example. I create a separate folder for libraries myself called blip. You can or cannot do that, whatever you want. And then I paste mosgrom.jar in here. Then in Eclipse, I right click example and go refresh to refresh the file tree there. As you see, lib folder popped up with the mosgrom.jar under it. Now right click again on the example project, then build path, configure build path to actually add the library to the build path. Make sure the libraries tab is clicked, click class path, then add jar. Navigate to the mosgrom.jar class library there, click it, OK, apply and close. So now it's been added. So every mod needs what's called a main module. There's two types really of, there's three types of things in a mod. There's modules, plugins, and data files. Modules are class files that once loaded remain in memory. They're usually used for things that are permanently added to the game, like items and, well, and the main module, your main modding class itself. Plugins are also Java classes, but they are things that are loaded by TAXINAUT as needed and are then unloaded once TAXINAUT is done with them. Let's, for example, think of them as scripts. It's, for example, for dialogue scripts, things called loader plugins that are scripts that load all the stuff that your mod adds to TAXINAUT, and UI scripts and things like that. Then there's the data files, which are just images and sounds and stuff that your mod uses. So the first thing we need is a module called main. So we'll add that to TAXINAUT, or to our project, our example project, sorry, by clicking here on source, right click, new class, main. Now, because it's a module, its top package must be TAXIMod. That's the top package name for all modules. And then followed by, so separated with a dot, the name of your mod, in our case, example. So that's the package for our main module class. Finish. Now also for that class to be able to interact with TAXINAUT, it needs to extend from a class in TAXINAUT. This class is provided to you by the mosgrom.jar class library. In this case, it's base module. There is documentation, but it's very rudimentary for the class files. You can again find it in your TAXINAUT install folder under doc mod, and there Java doc. If I double click on index.html, it opens up similar to what you saw before, a documentation website for some of the classes in the mosgrom.jar class library. For example, we're going to use here net mosgrom taxi module, that package. There is a class called base module. That's the one we're going to use or extend from. So public class main extends base module. Of course, has to be imported into the class definition. So hover over it, this comes up, you click import. Or if that doesn't work, just type this in, import net.mosgrom.taxi.module.base module, right? As you can see, there's still a small error here. That's just because we have to implement the ID method that returns the ID of the module. So add, hover over it, and then add unimplemented method. Remove this CRUD. And for our demonstration, for our example mod, the ID is 101. But of course, here you fill in whatever your ID for your mod is. Okay, so other than specifying the ID for the module, what do main modules do? Main modules specify all the what are called loader plugins that load the various things that are part of your mod. So there will be a loader plugin that loads planets and dungeons. There will be a loader plugin that loads NPCs. There will be a loader plugin that loads mobs, and so on. So we're going to start with a loader plugin for for planets and dungeons. These things are defined through what are called set definitions. Let's create a loader plugin. So source, right click, new class. Now for the package, because it's a plugin, the top level package is different. It's not TaxiMod, that's for modules. For plugins, we use Taxi PLG for plug, and then again the name of your mod, which is example. The name of our plugin will use site sets loader. Right, everything correct? Yeah, finish. And that needs to implement a certain interface, again, to be able to interact with TAXINAUT and for TAXINAUT to know what it can do with it. In this case, that is set definition loader. Then hover over it, import, or type that in, whatever. Then again, it needs to implement something, add unimplemented methods, load. So in here, you're going to define all the planets and dungeons, etc. that are part of your mod. And these come through in terms of what are called set definitions. But there's different ones. There's different implementations or classes that are all inherit from the basic set definition class. And the one we're going to use for our planet is called zone set definition. We'll call it the variable SD is new zone set definition. We'll instantiate it. Now we'll need to give it an ID, a numeric ID. Now all things that you add to TAXINAUT will have a numeric ID, and that ID will be unique within the group of things. So planets have their own range of IDs, NPCs have their own range of IDs, mobs have their own range of IDs, etc. And the ID you use is basically the ID of your mod followed by 4 other digits. And normally you do that just sequentially. So in our case, our mod is 101, and the first ID of 4 digits we can use is 0000. Sorry, just let me sort my voice out. Okay, so the first one we can use is 101.0.0.0.0. The next one will be 101.0.0.0.1, then 101.0.0.0.2, all the way up to 101.9.9.9.9. So there's 10,000 different IDs we can use for zone or for set definitions on this mod. Right? If our ID for our mod was say 317, then it would be 317.0.0.0.0 would be the first, and 317.0.0.0.1 would be the second, all the way up to 317.9.9.9.9. Right? So it's 101.0.0.0.0 is the first one we use. Okay, we have to import zone set definition. Right, and then the important thing is, so we've now created a new type of planet with ID 101.0.0.0.0, and we still have to add it to the repository. Here, as you can see, the load method has two arguments: a set definition repository. It was named arg0 here. I'm going to rename it to repo, and a taxi parameter. I'm going to call that up. The taxi class is the main class in TAXINAUT and provides a lot of functionality that your mods and the whole of TAXINAUT uses. Anyway, so we've created one definition for a planet, for a type of planet, and we have to add that to the repository. So repo.add SD. Right, SD is the variable that refers to this instance of zone set definition. Right, what else? Well, we can give SD a name. I would recommend you put repo.add always at the end of everything you do with this set definition, or any other definition for that matter. So sd.name, because we want to call it Domo. Right, so now we have a planet, a type of planet called Domo. The next thing is TAXINAUT uses like a rating system to determine how to place different planets and dungeons and stuff. And sets with a lower rating are more common, and sets with a higher rating are less common. Rating 5 means a set is unique and there will be only one planet of that type. So we're going to use that. So sd.rating 5. That makes sure that there's only one planet named Domo of this type. There's other things we can put on there, but we'll do that in a minute. First, we want to kind of hook up this site set loader, this loader plugin, to the main our main mod class. We have to specify to use this site set loader plugin. So we do that by overriding a method on the main class, and we can do that by going into source, override implement methods, and then down here there is set definition loaders. You see there's also site definition loaders, NPC definition loaders, and loads of other ones. For now we'll do set definition loaders, override that method. But this must return a list of well, set definition loaders basically. These set definition loaders are identified by their package name, so taxiplug.example, and class name .sitesetsLoader in this case. So I'm just going to type this out. I'll probably explain a little bit of what it means, but the important thing is what it does. It just returns a way for TAXINAUT to know to load this plugin and run this code. So it's taxiplug.example .sitesetsLoader. Right. So now TAXINAUT will know how to call this loader plugin to add this zone set that adds this zone set definition, this type of planet Domo, to the set definition repository, and we'll be able to add that to the Galaxy. So now we're going to create some of our own sites, which are like buildings, trees, and things like that. TAXINAUT already comes with loads of sites, which you could add to this zone set definition if you wanted. But we're going to create our own ones, and for that, again, we need to create a loader plugin that defines and adds those, in this case, to the site definition repository. So right click on this package, taxi plug example, and then new class. Now the package is already correctly filled in this time because we clicked on the right clicked on the package there. The name, let me just check what I used. Sites loader, okay. Finish. And again, this must implement a class from TAXINAUT or an interface from TAXINAUT. In this case, a site loader. Oh, sorry, a site definition loader. Right, so I've imported it. Then implement the unimplemented method, which again load. Again, this time with a site definition repository instead of a set definition repository. Yeah, it's a bit annoying that it sounds very much the same, but it isn't. It's historical. So here we're going to add some site definitions. So I'm going to have two sites on the Domo planet. One is our little pink domes, and the others are little yellow planets. In fact, I've prepared the images for it, of course, and you can see them here in your TAXINAUT install folder, doc, mod, example, where the example source code and resource files are, if you want to use them that way. In that, oh, it says 99 here, but that's wrong, but don't worry about it. See, it will be a dome like this and a little yellow pyramid like this. And this will be an icon for an item that we're going to create later that, when clicked, will teleport you to Planet Domo. Anyway, so we're going to create the dome maybe first. So site definition SD is new site definition. I have to give it an ID. So again, it starts with the ID of the mod 101, and then the first available 4-digit number, which is 000, right? 0, this just has to do with what type the site is. I might make that easier in the future. It just said that this is purely decorative. It doesn't do anything. And then a path to the image of the site. So in this case, that pink dome. So as you saw, our dome is in our image for that site is in dot. Well, this is going to be 101, not 99, but 101, and then dome.png. So how we specified this is just like this: 101 frontal slash, am I right? Sorry. You don't need to specify the dot, and then just dome.png. Like if dome.png in here was under another folder, say called a folder especially for the dome planet called dome, right? Then this would say 101 dome for the folder, and then slash dome.png, and so on. I hope you get that. Right, we'll import site definition SD, and again we just add this to the repo, and this time the site definition repo, repo.add SD. So that's our little dome planetary features, a site as they're called in TAXINAUT. And then we add our little pyramid. Let me just check my notes where I didn't forget anything. Right. So that's again a site definition. Although, how do I do it here? Oh yeah. I usually put these things within brackets like this. All that does is it keeps these variables, they're only viable within these brackets. So SD, is not, I cannot exit it outside of these brackets. It enables me to use it again here in the same way without a problem. Normally, if those brackets are there, this is a bit detailed, but and I do site definition SD. Did I miss some curly bracket? Oh, here. It doesn't, the compiler doesn't allow for that. You can't, because I'm redefining the same variable there. There's already a variable named SD, so that's not allowed. So if I put them in their own, as it's called, scope, I put in brackets around that body of code, and that isn't the problem. You see, now it's gone, the error. I can use SD again. But that's why I do that. So I'll keep doing that. It's not, you could also, we won't get into the alternative ways of doing it. That's how we're doing it. SD is new site definition 101 1 2 3, and this time of course the next ID is 0001. Comma 0 again because it does nothing. 101 slash pyramid.png, right? That just corresponds to this image here under dot will be 101 pyramid.png. And then again add it to the repo, because else TAXINAUT won't know about it. You have to remember this is a plugin, so it's like a script. So as soon as all this is, when this is run and when it's done, this will all be removed from memory, this thing. But these definitions will still have been added to the repository. So that's the site loader. Now we're just going to hook that up in main, similar as we did for the set definition loaders. So again here, source, override, site definition loaders, yes. And in the same way, we specify a class that is our site definition loader plugin. taxiplug.example. What was it called? Sites loader. Sites loader. Right. So we've now added two sites, a dome and a pyramid. And now we want to use those sites on our Domo planet, so we still have to add them there. So on our definition for our Domo planet, we can do, and I usually do everything before I add the thing to the repo. I don't think it's necessary, but that's how I do it. sd.add_site, and the first is just the ID of the site, the numeric ID. So the dome has ID 1010000. And this is the weight of that site. Let's see what I used here. Say I used just one. Yes, I did. For the, sorry, how was it? That the dome? Oh, I used pyramid as the first one here. Okay, let me keep it the same. Sorry. The first site was the pyramid in the code as it's on the website, and the second one is the dome. Whatever. I'll keep it the same. And then the weight for the pyramid is 1. I'll explain what weight is in a minute. Right, and for the dome it's 3. So 1, and then sd add site 1010001, that's for the dome, is 3. All that means is that the planet will distribute 3 times as many domes as pyramids. Well, there's other things we can set on the planet, of course, like colors and stuff. I think I've done that. Rating. Oh yeah, this. Right. I'm just going to copy this and explain it to you what it does. Right, so this first thing here, environment definition. Environment defines all kinds of things like the colors of the background of the water, haziness, water levels, all kinds of things. In this example, I'm just going to add some specific colors. So environment.add good color, and these are the RGB values of the, I think it's the land color. These are the RGB values of the, sorry, am I saying this right? Yeah, these are the RGB values of the watercolor, and these last two values are the relative transparency of the fog at the bottom of the screen as opposed to the end of the screen. And the fog will always have the color of the water. So here at the bottom it's 0, and at the top it's 75 density. The max is 255. Yeah, I won't go into it any further. Anyway, then I add the environment, that environment instance, and I add that to the planet definition, the zone set definition. This thing, traders, most planets require a set of sites that define the shops and all that stuff on there. These are also can also be defined in here, and they're also set definitions. They're just groups of sites basically, but you can reference other ones through here. So there's already a set of standard shops that's defined in TAXINAUT that has ID 71. So I'm just using that as the traders set here. So those sites will also be on whatever is in set 71 will also be on our planet Domo. And the rest I'll just leave standard. There's many other things that can be set. It gets quite complicated. So that's our planet, I think. Next we want an item for the player that they can click, and so they get teleported to planet Domo immediately. So we're going to add that. Now items, because they remain in the game constantly while you're playing the game, they're modules. So we're going to add a new item here. So again, new class. We're going to call it Domo cast. So in the taximod.example package, because it's a module, Domo cast, finish, there's the class, and has to extend TAXINAUT's base item. We import this, add any, well, the constructor. So I'm just going to add a simple default constructor, public Domo cast, like this, and then call the super constructor, which we still need to, because that has different parameters, for base item, which requires an ID for the item. Now item IDs are text. They're the same as what you see in the game. So in this case it's Domo cast. Always do it lowercase, everything lowercase, and no special characters. You can have spaces in it and dashes and stuff, but no commas or anything. Domo cast, then a description. That's basically what shows up when you hover over the item with the mouse. So what tells the player what it can do. Click to teleport to Domo. And then an image for the item. And in our case, that's this one, Domo cast icon.png. And it will be in, it's part of the 101 mod with ID 101, so it's 101/Domo cast icon. You don't specify the .png, by the way, neither for sites. I didn't do it there, did I? Yes, I did. That's wrong. So that creates the item. Now we want it to teleport to Domo, planet Domo, when it's clicked. So we're going to override a method called onClick, or click, I think it's called. Click, yeah, there. Now you don't have to do that right through this menu. You can also type this in. Just saying that again. We won't use super, will we? that would have just called the implementation of base item itself, and what it does in click might make a sound or something. I don't know. But we won't do this now. We'll completely do our own thing. And here we're just going to teleport. Now that just requires a bit of code. I'm not going to get into it. Do I need? No, I don't think I do. App.player.teleport to nearest planet. Is that what it uses? Yeah. 101.0.0.0.0, because that's the ID of our Domo planet, as we specified here in sitesets loader. See, our Domo planet has ID 101.0.0.0.0. So this just teleports to the nearest planet of that type 101.0.0.0.0. So that's the item. Now again, like sites and sets, that needs to be loaded by a loader plugin. So for that, there is a item loader plugin. We're going to add that. I'm just checking what I called it. Items loader. Makes sense. So again, in the plugin package, we add that. New class. Items loader. And again, that needs to implement, I guess, what's it called? Item loader. Okay. Some class from TAXINAUT, right? Import that. Add the unimplemented load method. Right, I'm just going to rename these parameters because make it more clear. So here we're going to create an instance of this item and add it to the item repository. So that's very simple because we created the constructor ourselves. It's just the default constructor. So simply Domo cast item is new Domo cast. And we need to import it because it's in a different package. It's in the module package. Then add it to the repo.add item, like that. So that will add our item to TAXINAUT, our Domo cast item, right? Let me just check. Yeah, that's all. Good. So what next? So we have the items loader defined that adds the Domo cast item, and we need to hook it up, of course. We need so that TAXINAUT knows to run this our items loader. So again, here we overwrite. First overwrite item loaders. This one, and we provide a reference to our item loader called items loader, whatever. But that's just what we called it. Not a great choice. Taxi plug.example.items loader. Right, that's just the name, the package and the name of this class that we just created, this items loader, this item loader. So that's all hooked up. Now lastly, although TAXINAUT knows about the item, that doesn't mean the player has it. And we want the player to immediately have it when the game boots up. So for that, we can use a thing called a setup plugin. And setup plugins are, plugins, so script-like things that can do all kinds of things after a game has been fully loaded and initialized or generated when you start a new game. So it can also do things where it fixes things that were wrong in previous versions, but it can also set up hard-coded planets in certain locations, or it can, what we wanted to do, just add an item to the player. In this case, we'll have it add the Domo cast item to the player, so it's immediately available. So we'll create a setup plugin called, I guess, setup. Did I call it setup? Yes, setup. New class setup. And it's a plugin, so it goes on the plugin.example package, right? taxi-plug.example. And those implement or extend, I forget, base setup plugin. Oh, okay. Those already have some class that does a lot of the work. Base setup plugin. Import it. Implement the, oh, it just needs a constructor. What do we use? Oh, a default. We add a constructor for it. Public setup super, and that just needs, oh yeah, an ID and a version, right? So like setup, like sites, sets, NPCs, setups have their own range of IDs, again prefixed by the ID of the mod. So it's 101.0000 is the first ID for a setup plugin. Then you have to specify a version, which is just a counting number of your plugin. That can be handy when later you change the plugin and want to keep track of what you've already done and what not. I won't get into that, but we'll just use version 1 here. And we're missing an unimplemented method, I'd say, just run, which runs the setup. So it's just a script and you can do nearly anything here. The first argument, I'm just going to rename these. So what were they called? You can find it in the documentation, like for setup, if I can find it. Package type setup here, or base setup plugin. No result? I misspelled it. Setup. Base setup plugin there, that class. Here you can see the constructor here. Base setup plugin int ID and an integer version. And what are we doing? Oh, run. That's probably defined in, yeah, setup plugin interface. Run. So it's like last run version, save file, the taxi application, and well, some other complicated thing I won't get into. So this is int last run version, save file, I'll just call that parameter sf, taxi I always call app, and bitmap, I don't know, what did I call it here? Sector occupied map, okay. It holds information about where certain planets can still be placed and stuff. Yeah, let's not get into it. So that last run version, that corresponds to this, right? So if you create a newer version of TAXINAUT and put a higher version here, the last run for whatever save game is loaded, it will be passed here. If that was version 1 and you are now in version 2, you can know here, like, don't do this again. If you know, if it's higher than version 1, I already, for example, we're going to do this here actually. So if last run version is smaller than 1, so if it was never run, then we do up.player.add and an item Domo cast, like this, which adds the Domo cast item. It just uses the ID of the item. So this ensures that that will only be done once, because otherwise every time you load a game that uses this setup or this mod, it will again add a Domo cast item to the player in your setup plugin here. So now it only does it once, because it already, after the first time, it knows the last run version will be 1. That's passed there. Okay, I'm making that more complicated than it is. Anyway, you can figure it out, I think. Is that it? I think it is. That's everything. So the second step will be to install this mod. It's already been compiled automatically by Eclipse. So if we go in, where is this again? In our workspace. So don't mind this stuff. This is just the source files that come with TAXINAUT for the example, right? Although we do want to kind of copy over the resources, I guess. So we'll do that now actually. So here from the TAXINAUT install folder doc mod example, there's the dot folder. You can just copy that. Where's copy? Did I click it weird? Oh. Copy. And then go to your workspace, the Eclipse workspace, and your example project folder. And paste it there. And if in your version of TAXINAUT, that folder in here is still 99, just to rename it to, where's rename? Rename it to 101, because that's the ID used for example now, for the example mod now. Right, so I now refresh here in Eclipse. See, there's the dot folder with the 101 folder and with the various images for the sites and for the DomoCast item under it. So I was just checking a bit, paused the video there for a sec and checked, and I'm forgetting one thing. The setup we created, we haven't created a setups loader yet, so we'll have to do that. I forgot about that. So again, as with the items and site loader and all this, new class. Of course, in the plugin package, taxiplug.example, and that implements a import that at the unimplemented method. Okay, I'm just going to rename these arguments again. They annoy me. Repo and up. That's not necessary. You know, if you reference them here in the code, you can reference them by the original names, arc0 and arc1. Kind of unclear. And then we load the setup plugin. So that's like setup as is new setup. And oh, setup plugin manager is not a repo, it's a manager. I think I gave it a different name here. Just want it to be the same. Yeah, asman. Okay. Setup manager, asman.add. Oh, and it has some parameters. Well, I won't go into specifics. Okay, I figured it out. So you want to use the first version here with which this particular setup plugin was used. In this case, this one, this one that we've just created that adds the DomoCast item. So yeah, we'll just keep it on 081. That's fine. What else? Did I name it as there as well? Oh, it doesn't do it like that. My bad. You don't I don't know my own stuff. You don't instantiate the setup plugin like that here. No, you just reference it here like this. So your ID of your mod, then the name of your mod, followed by the name of the plugin class setup. Yeah, it's a bit odd. Anyway, I'll probably make that a bit more easier. I'd kind of forgotten about this bit. So this will work anyway. Or it should. Right? Do I have it correct? 081. Yes. Oh, and I didn't have any spaces there. Right, so that should be everything. Oh, and we still need to hook up the setup loader, of course, here in main. As with the other plugin loaders. Source, override. Setup, plugin loaders. I'm typing under a very odd angle here because my microphone is in the way. New string taxi plug dot example dot, what is it called, setups loader. Oh, got a little double quote. Okay. Okay, just had a little pause it for a sec to check everything. I think it's all right. So now we're going to install our mod, and that's simply a matter of copying over the module class files, the plugin class files, and the resource files, the data files, to the TAXINAUT installation directory. So, well, first thing, in your TAXINAUT application, in settings, you have to turn on modding, if you allow mods, if you don't have that yet. So here, allow mods, yes, click yes, and then it will give you a warning, but choose enable mods. So now it's on. You'll have to restart TAXINAUT after that, so I'm quitting. You'll have to restart it anyway when you install the mod. So, all right, make sure you have that set. Then we copy our files into our TAXINAUT install directory. So I'm here at the right in my TAXINAUT install directory. It has a mod directory, so that's not the one in doc mod. It's directly in the root directory of your install directory, mod. And in here you see 3 other folders, dot, mod, plug. These are for the data resource files, like the site images. These are for the module classes, and this is for the plugin classes. So let's first just get our data files out of the way. Here in my example folder, my project folder in my Eclipse workspace of my example project, I just copied over that dot folder, right, with the 101 folder in it. Just copy that folder, so copy and paste that into the dot folder of your TAXINAUT install mod directory. So I'll paste it here. So the 101 folder is now placed in, with all the images in it, right, is placed in the mod, in the dot directory of your TAXINAUT mod folder, right. Then secondly, our module classes, they go into the mod folder, that stands this time for module, of your mod folder of your TAXINAUT install directory. So we can find those in our example project folder in bin taximod, but we'll copy the full TAXINAUT mod folder. That's the start package, right? And this is, that mirrors the example package, and then there's the classes, the same structure as you see, for example, here in the package specifier, that taximod.example and dot main.class, right? You get that. You get how that's the same, I hope, right? So what we copy is the taximod folder from your bin directory of your example project folder, and we copy that into the mod folder here. You see there's already other jars there with module classes that come standard with TAXINAUT. You could also package this into a jar, but I won't get into that now. So we'll do it like this. TAXIMod there. Now for the plugin classes, it's a little bit different, regrettably, because if you go into the PLG, the plugin folder of your TAXINAUT installation mod folder, then you see there's already a TaxiPlug package folder there. So we won't copy this one straight into there, right? We'll just go into this one and into this one, and then just copy the example package and everything that's in it into here. So it still matches the package structure of the classes. Like, for example, the items loader is a plugin. It's under, should be under TaxiPlug example. and that is exactly as it is now. In our mod directory, under plug, there is taxi plug, example, and there is the, what was it, items loader, and all the other plugins. So that basically installs our mod. So we've installed the data files, we installed the module classes, and we installed the plugin classes. Right, so let's run TAXINAUT. All right, let's see. Continue. Well, there we are. This is where I was with my game. And you can see here, a Domo cast item has been added. To use this, you have to actually be not landed. I just used a kind of unsophisticated method to accomplish this, just for purposes of the example. But anyway, if you now click on it, it will just hang for a while. This is not really something to be used like that, but anyway. And see, we teleported to another planet, Domo. Let's get off the, what do you call it, the spaceport. You see, these are all our pyramids and domes. That's all it is now. And you can see there's other sites already there. That's because of that, I hope you remember that when we specified that trader set with ID 71 on our Domo planet's zone set definition. So that automatically adds all these types of shops and things to it. So that's basically it. Okay, lastly, you can package up these your mod, of course. There's no standard for that at the moment. What I recommend is you just put it all into a zip file that mimics the structure of the mod directory in your TAXINAUT installation folder, right here. So with a zip file within the root, a dot folder, a mod folder, and a PLG plug folder. So, and then under the dot you'll have your this 101 and your resource images, right? And under mod you'll have your module classes in their package folders like this. Right, and then in plug you'll have your plugin classes under their package folders. Right here, an example. So that's it. I hope it helps some, and that you'll be able to run this mod and play with it and change it. I know there's not a lot of documentation about, but there's hardly any at all, about all the things available to you in TAXINAUT that you can use in your mods. That will probably come at some point. It all depends on whether people are going to be using this. You see, there's a lot of work involved in that. So for me, it's like you're able to use it now fully. It's just badly documented, and probably some things can be made simpler. But if nobody uses it, I'm not obviously going to put time into documenting it or making it simpler, because I can use it fine just as it is. So yeah, it depends. So if you have any questions or want help with creating a mod, then yeah, contact me on at my email at mosgrom mosgrom@mosgrom.net, or on my Discord. You can find it all on my website, and in the description of the video you can find links, etc. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, catch you later, I guess.